back to review the nerds. I'm Vince.
I'm Mike, and today we are reviewing Alright everyone, this is your mission, should you choose to accept it, to listen to us talk about this film. This is the fifth film in this franchise, and this is a franchise that is dated way back to the 1960s during the whole spy movement. We had a bunch of stuff back then. Actually, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is another TV show that ran back then, and that is currently out. I recommend everyone see that as well. It was fun. But one of the series that was really huge, reactionary to James Bond was Mission Impossible. It was a series that Tom Cruise really enjoyed, I guess, and loved in his youth, so he bought the rights to it and decided to produce the series with him in the starring role as Ethan Hunt. And this has been going on since, what, 95? So it's been on, it's actually, wow, Jesus, it's been almost 20 years. And the one thing this series has continued to show, and this is how it keeps surviving, is its diversity. Every time it's a new director, usually a new writer, and a lot of times a new cast, except for Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames that have appeared in every one of these films. First time out, we had Brian De Palma, and that was kind of a little bit convoluted. It's not one of my favorite ones, but that bullet train sequence at the end was fucking sweet. But then we jump into MI2, as they called it, because back then it was really cool to abbreviate titles. Like X2 and shit. We had John Woo, the Woo, bringing his two gun-wielding, pigeons flying in slow motion through fire sensibilities to this movie, and I really liked that one at the time. It's a little dated now because of some wire work, but everyone was in that shit because of The Matrix. Third movie, J.J. Abrams brings his style, hot off of Alias and tons of other things. Philip Seymour Hoffman fucking was such a good bad guy. That one I really enjoyed, and also this is where Simon Pegg gets involved in the action. He just gets increasing screen time as time goes on. And then we jump into Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which was the best reviewed and the biggest financial success of the series to that date. Everyone seemed to really enjoy that one. They really loved the ensemble, because it harkened back to the show, because the show really was about the ensemble, and the movies focused a little more on Tom Cruise than, I guess, you know, hardcore fans would have wanted. So this was a harken back to that. And then that was really obviously very successful. And so here we go. We're back in action. And we're with Christian McQuarrie, and he brings his own sensibilities.
So, like Mike said, this is the fifth installment in the franchise, and we're back with the members of the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force. Fortunately, things are off to a bad start, because the CIA has taken over and shut down the IMF due to the government's disapproval of activities going on, which puts our hero, Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, in quite a predicament, because he's just uncovered a new super-secret terrorist organization that is just as formidable as the IMF. And that's what brings us to Rogue Nation.
Every one of these movies has a MacGuffin, something that they need to break into a top secret, heavily guarded base to try to steal it from, and there's a lot of twists about what this MacGuffin is. At first, you think it's a ledger that contains syndicate names that the IMF can use to dismantle this whole organization, but then there's a huge twist later that involves the Prime Minister and billions of dollars that is on the line to fund this organization. It's a little hard to follow. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the first one in that way. Like, the first one was really convoluted and it jumped around a lot. I mean, it's definitely not impossible to understand or anything, and I was able to follow along, but it just felt a little unnecessarily complicated, at least in places.
These spy movies, as Mike pointed out, they can get a little convoluted, they can get confusing, and they can get a little, contrived. I mean, there's been rogue agents here all over the series.
This is not the first film to do the rogue thing, and it's kind of getting a little old. They just did it in Ghost Protocol. Every time they get, disavowed and they're fugitives and stuff like that, I for once would like to see them working as a unit that actually functions with IMF without any rogue shit. So that plot element is definitely getting a little old and tired. Every fucking time they're disavowed, it's getting a little, you just expect it now. It's not even shocking when it happens. Tom Cruise has pretty much been the headliner of the whole franchise, to the point that maybe annoys some people. Some people, I guess, have got a little Tom Cruise fatigue. You wouldn't have this franchise without him. So say what you want about the guy, but the guy is the heart and soul of this franchise. And I still enjoy watching him on screen as Ethan Hunt, so I'm on board. But this time they do something a little different. I'm not sure how I really feel about it from a fan perspective, because I really did enjoy the ensemble of Ghost Protocol, and everyone praised the movie for that. This time they're going for more of a buddy cop team-up film, and it's mostly between Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg playing Benji. Now, I know that it's nice to have a different mix and different feel every time, but I don't know, something about abandoning the unit, the team, and just having it be two guys for most of the film felt really kind of incomplete to me. And really, the other guys really don't get involved to the last half hour. And by that point, you're wondering what they're even doing in the movie at all. But Simon Pegg, of course, is great. He's a great sidekick character. He brings his own sensibilities to it. He and Tom Cruise balance each other. Tom Cruise is more reckless and more of a daredevil. But Simon Pegg is more of the kind of cautious by nature, more of the intellect. He just trying to make sure Ethan Hunt doesn't, take things too far. Actually, kind of what Ving Rhames did in the series up until recently. And that's another interesting thing, is that Ving Rhames is the only cast member who's been in every one of these films, yet for some reason that is unknown to me, his role in these films have been greatly reduced. In the last film, Ghost Protocol, which you missed, he wasn't in the film until the last 5 minutes. He was not in it at all until the last 5 minutes. It was like, whoa, who'd he piss off? And this time they bring him back a little bit, kind of. He's there in a subplot with Jeremy Renner, and the two of them, they're trying to figure out where Ethan Hunt is, they're trying to track him down. But at the end, it really doesn't feel like they had a lot to contribute to the movie, and I kind of wondered what they were doing there. I felt like you could have given them a lot more to do. What do you think about this cast? What do you think about the Cruise?
Well, Tom Cruise, he's had these controversies over the years, so you can say a thing or two about him. But I don't know, I thought he did a good job in this film. He brings the Ethan Hunt charm that was present in the first film that I've seen a bunch of times. He once again uses. It's not just a matter of guns blazing and fast car driving. He also shows that his character still uses his intelligence as his greatest weapon. And of course, because if you are making a spy movie and you have a dumb spy, you have a dumb spy movie overall. Because these people have to be incredibly intelligent to do the work to do. And I think he still pulled it off. Simon Pegg, I don't know if I would necessarily say the relationship as a buddy cop. I mean, they're friends in the film, but we also have the character played by Rebecca Ferguson, who's a kind of an agent who they don't know where her alliances lie. Her and Tom Cruise have a lot of interaction, so I say it's not more of a buddy cop, two guys. I think more of a trio aspect going on between the three of them, which works out well because Tom Cruise trusts her, Simon Pegg doesn't, so she has to prove herself.
Technically, she's the femme fatale archetype.
She's the femme fatale archetype. And I don't know, Rebecca Ferguson, oh my god, she's got one hell of a beautiful face. I just want to say that. Those eyes. Damn.
I don't think I've ever seen a woman with a sniper rifle that was more attractive.
Yeah. But no, she does a great job in this film because like her character has a lot of issues to work through, struggles to get through. She was really cool.
Let's talk about that.
Let's get into that.
She does triple crosses on top of triple crosses, and at the end of the movie I was like, what?
I Spy. Remember that scene on the roof where they have no idea who's fucking portraying them? They're just going back and forth and just shooting into the fuck. It's a lot like that. You feel like them in that movie because you don't know who's fucking on whose side.
At the first point, you think she's working with villains, but then she helps Tom Cruise, and then you think she's trying to find redemption or something like that. But then you find that she's helping Tom Cruise because she's actually still helping the bad guys. At least she's trying to make the bad guys think that she's helping them by helping Tom Cruise. But then you find out that there's actually a third party, which I don't know if I want to spoil, that she's actually really working for. And then the bad guy finds out that she's actually working for this party, but the bad guy chooses to give her another chance for completely unknown reasons because he already knows what she's doing and that she is basically betraying him. But he's like, I'm going to give you a message to give to Ethan, so I'm going to let you live. But then after she gives him that message, he's like, okay, now I'm going to give you one more chance after this. He's like, how many fucking chances are you going to give this girl? You know she's working against you. Why the fuck do you keep trusting her to do things?
And then you see her cold breath and realize she's been dead the whole time.
This is not the Sixth Sense. But it's wild. And there's a certain point where it's completely unbelievable that the villain wouldn't have killed her. She would have been dead two crosses ago. 2 crosses ago she would have been dead.
Well, in the end of the film, the villain makes it look like he's had this master plan spanned out over the course of, over the course of 6 months, and he's made his best trait is that he takes people's natures and uses it to manipulate them and play them like chess pieces. And he kind of indicates that maybe that was his plan the whole time, but that's a bit of a stretch.
He seems pretty pissed off when he finds out who she is, though. He seems pretty mad.
Yeah, it's like how mad can he I think, he makes, at a certain point in the movie, he makes that as all tactics. It was all tactics, but yeah, it is a bit of a stretch at times.
It was a little crazy. And this actually brings us to our villain now. Sean Harris playing Solomon Lane or something. Yeah. He is the leader of the Syndicate in this film, which basically is a huge homage to Spectre from the James Bond series. The Syndicate is this international organization of rogue agents that are influencing global events for political and financial gain. They're basically like an anti-IMF. It's very reminiscent of what they're doing right now in the Daniel Craig series with Quantum and stuff like that. So that's definitely, it's kind of interesting they're doing it the same year that Spectre's coming out, because it feels like they might be taking some of the thunder away from Spectre because they're doing the same thing before them. But Sean Harris is definitely an improvement over the last villain. The villain in Ghost Protocol, while Ghost Protocol was probably one of the best Mission Impossibles, the villain was very forgettable. He was just a mustache trolling, I want to nuke the world because if I don't do it, someone else will do it first. It was like, okay, what's your real motivation here? You don't make any sense, and he wasn't really that good of a bad guy. So I was happy to see a villain that was a little bit more intimidating, that seemed to have a little more layers to him, and he was creepy. This guy was creepy. If he gives you a death stare, it might blow a hole out the back of your head.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. He has this, I don't know if that's his normal speaking voice, but the tone and like the subtlety of his voice is kind of creepy and, kind of, not too scary, but more like creepy scary, you know what I mean? He definitely stays, he shows his frustration, but he like tries to put on this calm demeanor, but when he's pissed, it's like he's just, you can see him just struggling to hold it back. That was cool. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it was really, like I said, there are times where it's a stretch, but he's definitely one of those villains that uses, he plays all human beings like their chess pieces. He uses their nature, what kind of their personality types to manipulate them, to push them in the directions that he wants. He really says it throughout, like, the movie. He's had a more important movie the whole time. He's been manipulating Tom Cruise's character, Ethan, this whole time to get him to exactly where he wants. Alec Baldwin's in this one, and he plays the director of the CIA that gives the entire IMF shit. And he really does play this character like he's a little bit of an asshole, but everything he's doing, he believes he's doing because things are going wrong. So he's not a bad guy. He's got a bit of an ass, but, he's a good guy ass,
Yeah, you can tell they're grooming him to take a bigger part in the sequels that are coming up, which, by the way, have been greenlit. This one was successful enough critically and financially for the sixth movie to already be greenlit.
Yeah, which was, I'm down for it, because Alec Baldwin, people forget, because, he's been doing, because of 30 Rock and a few other films, and yes, he is a comedic talent, but he's also a good dramatic actor, so I'd be down for having him in future films.
All right, this brings us to the leader of this impossible mission here, director, writer Christopher McQuarrie, who had worked with Bryan Singer. That, very notably, he wrote Usual Suspects, and he also worked with Bryan Singer on Valkyrie, which starred Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise developed a working relationship with him on that, and he decided to bring him on to Jack Reacher, and they furthered their relationship, and Tom Cruise, he was like, hey man, do you want to write and direct the next Mission Impossible? And of course, who would turn that down? So McQuarrie is now on board, and he brings his own sensibilities to it. It has the general atmosphere of the Ghost Protocol film, especially with the whole rogue thing. I think Christopher McQuarrie did a decent job with direction. I thought there was some good stuff in this, from performance-wise, from just composition. Of course, that's cinematography. I don't know how much say he has in that. It depends how much of an auteur he is.
Really, I mean, I was really pretty satisfied with the film. It was really cool. So, I mean, especially, I don't think any of the actors did poorly, because that's also, think about when even if you have a good actor, in a role, they can still do the character bad. Sometimes, that's is partially the actor's fault, but it's also if the actor is having trouble pulling it off. It's definitely the job of the director to help them find a way. And I had no issue with any of the cast performances. That's always a big thing with me. So yeah, in that front he did well. Once again, I mean, since he is the director and he does have final say, I mean, he could have made a few alterations to the script, to change some of these tropes that have been throughout the entire film. I mean, I guess there's only so much you can do, but at the same time,
Alright, so let's then get into what is at the real reason why people see these movies, to be entertained with exciting action. So... Yeah. So these movies take a cue from the James Bond films with having pre-title sequences. This time we have a huge plane stunt that Tom Cruise performed himself, for real. What did you think about that whole opening sequence?
I heard about this a while ago, so, it really is impressive. You've got to give Tom Cruise respect for this. I mean, call him crazy, which hell.
He's crazy.
He could be, yeah, he probably is. But, yeah, I mean, it just adds to the, it just completely adds to the realism, because it is real. That really is him hanging off the side of a plane. Now, yes, given You know that he has some kind of harness that straps him into the side of the plane, so he's not literally holding on for his bare life. But it is great because you can see that's Tom Cruise on the plane. You can tell that's not CGI. You can look at him. You can see the face. You can see the wind blowing through his hair, around his clothes, the whole thing. Him like, you know, because there's, I mean, as advanced as CGI has become, you can still see little things that just don't, you know, register as reality.
Anyone that wants to talk shit on Tom Cruise, I would like to see one of you hang off the fucking side of a plane as it goes up into the atmosphere. There's so many risks that come with this thing. I mean, apparently he did this more than one take. They did this multiple takes. Like, so he did this more than once. He's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's kept. He's kept his body in great shape over the years. You know, I mean, you know,
he bathes in the blood of babies. What are
seals? Baby seals, not human. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, so I mean, that's definitely helped him over the years. I mean, he's like, you know, he's actually what? He's 50, 51 now.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah, and you know, and if he maintains this, he should still be able to do stuff like these for at least another 10 years.
The one comment I have about the opening plane thing is that it was so heavily advertised. That was the only complaint I had. Great fucking stunt. But I saw it so many times in the trailers that by the time I saw that opening, I was like, this is probably the 12th time I've seen this done. So it wasn't as exciting as it would have been if they didn't heavily advertise it so much. But it was still a cool stunt to open the movie up with. And this brings us to you know, the next action sequence in the film, which is this opera sequence, and there's multiple snipers, and you don't know who the hell is trying to snipe who, and Tom Cruise is trying to stop them all individually, and there's this awesome fight in the rafters of this opera, and they're trying to stay quiet not to alert people below, and he's fighting this big Hulk guy, like basically like one of those guys you'd see in the old Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
Like, he punches him and the guy doesn't even flinch. You know, that was a nice homage to, you know, past films.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when you really think about it, I mean, most people know about it, but if you don't, Tom Cruise is actually not that tall. He's actually pretty short, so the guy might actually not be as tall as he was represented.
He might be just as tall as me.
He might be like just 6'1" or 2 at most, which is still pretty tall. But like, I mean,
they
make him look like he's like, you know, like fucking Michael Jordan or Shaq or something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cool fight. I actually had fun with that one. And I don't know, to me this was the best action sequence movie. None of the other ones reached this level because I was nail biting. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? They just built up suspense so well in that sequence. Chris McQuarrie did a great job. There's a lot of Hitchcockian moments there.
The MacGuffin they're trying to get is kept like an electronic vault that's underneath a water treatment plant. So that's the reason why the water is there. The water actually serves no purpose in the area he's in, except for just as a drainage source. But beyond that,
this mission just got a lot more impossibler.
Impossibler?
I'm joking. It's from a skit that Ben Stiller did.
Impossibler. The whole purpose of the water is just to make the mission more difficult. It has no real practical purpose.
There's no way he would survive that. He like, I mean, they always do that thing where they're like, you're only going to have 3 minutes, and then the actual runtime is more like 5 minutes.
Yeah. The mission never goes according to plan. There's always something that fucks up.
Well, you know, in the movies they always do, like, you have 2 minutes before the bomb explodes, and then 4 minutes later it's at a 10-second countdown. It's like, you know, he would have lost his breath
well, I cut the green wire and the yellow wire, so that gave me another 2 minutes. Don't know how that works, gonna be honest, but...
I mean, there is definitely some thrills to be had with him holding his breath and the audience holding their breaths with him, and you feel the tension building and you're wondering if he's gonna make it. And apparently Tom Cruise really did do a lot of holding his breath and actually being in a tank for extended periods of time. And obviously that was really grueling for him to do. He puts himself way above and beyond what a lot of A-list actors will do with stunts.
Yeah, there's a huge... Okay, so there's a huge vehicle chase. I mean, Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg are trying to get away, and the bad guys are, like, blasting.
And he was just brought back with
he was just, like... he actually drowns in the one scene. They have to, like, defibrillator his ass back into life. So he's, like... He's a little out of it, but he's still driving. Here's the funny thing.
He recovers fast.
I love how they have this cool spy car that they can't get into because they have to scan their hand on the window, and it's got all these... You know, it's a spy car. It's got cool gadgets. But the fucking thing ain't bulletproof. I mean, they riddle this car with bullets. I mean, you would think by the 5th Mission Impossible film they would have a bulletproof car, but apparently not. I don't know why. It would make sense at this point.
It's a bit of a stretch how he's dead 1 minute, and then the next minute he's doing some really advanced motorcycle stunt driving. And this sequence is pretty cool. I thought that it was fast-moving and everything was exciting. Tom Cruise was again stepping up his game with the stunts. Tom Cruise does the turn so low in the motorcycle that his knee is just inches from scratching off the pavement. It's pretty cool. And this was the peak of the action, and then the film slowly winds down into kind of a fizzled finale. They build it up so heavy and so big, and the way it's resolved, there's a little scuffle, there's a little run, a little chase, and then there is... The way to dispose of the villain is probably the most unsatisfying in the series thus far.
I didn't mind it as much because this villain isn't very... Once again, he's a manipulator. He takes people and he uses he uses his brain, and he uses other people to do like the dirty work. And the way that he's taken care of at the end is a role reversal between him and Ethan. So to me, it didn't bother me that much.
I understand the role. I understand
the more, sure, but I thought it was nice.
I understand the role reversal, but it was still really unsatisfying. Like, it was so easily handled, and the action in the end, there's nothing in the ending that I remember action-wise. The girl gets a little knife fight. That's probably the best thing, but nothing Tom Cruise is doing is really that crazy or exciting. I don't know. It fizzled. It really fizzled. This was probably the weakest ending in the whole franchise so far. I do really like this movie. It's the exciting thing, of course, is the way this movie ends leads to future films. They give me the impression that the ensemble's back together, and that next time, can we finally have a movie where they don't go rogue? Let's just have them working with IMF. Let's have a normal adventure. They don't have to go rogue every fucking time.
For a person who's only ever seen the first Mission Impossible, and I really like that film, I've seen it a bunch of times since then. I really did enjoy this one. I thought it was really cool. I do agree with Mike that maybe a full more ensemble would have been nicer because they really don't all come together towards the end of the film. I thought the action was cool. I like the bike chase scene. Tom Cruise is doing his thing. I thought Finn Rames, even though he was out of the film for I would say at least 50% of the film, if maybe just 60%. Him coming in at the last minute and, doing his thing was cool. I liked the film. I thought it was cool. I'd be excited to see another one. I'll probably make time to go see the previous films. Alright, everybody. Thanks again for watching. If you have anything to say, agree, disagree, leave it in the comments below. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at @nerds_review. And of course, most importantly, click subscribe. And until next time, I'm Vincent.
And I am Mike.
And this has been
Review the Nerds.
Catch you next time.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Wait, what the fuck?